I really like music a lot. In fact, I'm fairly eclectic in my music styles. I like a lot of different genres. I can do mellow, I can do upbeat, I can do rap, hip hop, some classical, jazz. I can even do some headbanging. There's one particular style of music that I'm not very fond of, and my family knows that, and my church family knows that. But I'm not going to talk about that here. But from a very young age, music was my go-to, especially when life got hard. And I experienced some difficulties as a kid and as a teenager growing up. And when those difficult situations would arise, I would go to my room, I would grab my LP, my vinyl LP or my cassette tape and put it in my hi-fi stereo, put on the headphones, lay down, close my eyes, and let the music take me away. And I would sing like the Dobie Gray song, "Give me the beat, boys, and free my soul. I want to get lost in your rock and roll and drift away." Now, I'm pretty sure that Dobie sounded a whole lot better than that, but my desire was the same. When life got hard and the wheels fell off and situations were difficult, just give me the music and let me run away. Music was my go-to. It was my escape. It was my fortress. It was my salvation. There's a book in the Bible that we call the Psalms. It's in the Old Testament. The Hebrew word for Psalms is a word that means praises or songs of praise. And the Greek translation of the Old Testament Hebrew uses a word from which we get our English word psalm that means a song sung to the accompaniment of a plucked instrument. Basically, in the Old Testament, the Psalms were songs that the people of God sang. They would sing them in worship. One of our more recent commentators today has said that the Psalms of the Old Testament functioned like the hymn book for ancient Israel. And these were songs that were written by God's people, for God's people, and they were written to point people to the hope that they had in the true and the living God. And there's one particular psalm that is very interesting. It's Psalm 62. It was written by King David at a time when he was going through a very difficult situation. We don't know all of the details of what he was facing, but as you read through the psalm, you begin to discover that his life was on the line. There were people who wanted to kill him. But it's very fascinating how he starts the song. And he starts the song like this. He says, "For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I will not be greatly shaken." It's particularly interesting to note how he starts this song. He expresses absolute trust and confidence in God, who is his rock and his salvation. And again, we don't know all of the details, but we do know that as you read through this, not only was his life at stake, but people were hurling insults at him. People were cursing him. People wanted him dead. And in the midst of this, he casts his hope and his confidence in the Lord. What a great encouragement the opening of that song is. As you move further through the psalm, you discover that David is battered. Has people telling lies about him. He has people that are cursing him. And as we said a moment ago, they wanted him dead. And yet in the midst of this, he starts off at the beginning of the song, and then he almost reiterates the first two verses again in around verse 6 and verse 7, almost says the exact same thing. He affirms emphatically that God is his refuge, God is his hope, God is his strength, his fortress, and because of that, he will not be greatly shaken. Now, I've never had anybody that wanted to kill me, at least that I'm aware of. But I have had people who didn't like me. I've had people say nasty things about me. I've had people against me and oppose me. And even as an adult, when that happens, I still find myself running to music for comfort and for peace and for hope. But what I need to do is to run to music that is going to point me to where my true hope lies. Because my hope lies in the same God that David wrote about and sung about thousands of years ago. My hope is in the true and the living God. And this true and living God appeared on the planet 2,000 years ago in the form of Jesus Christ. Jesus became man. He became flesh. God became flesh and made his dwelling among us. And Jesus lived a perfect, sinless life, and he died a horrible death on the cross. And he died as a substitute. He died in the place of sinners. He bore the sin of the human race so that we, if we would believe in him, would have forgiveness of sin and eternity with God forever and be at peace with God. And when we have peace with God, it really doesn't matter what's going on in the world around us. We can handle any conflict, any trouble, any difficult situation because Jesus has made us at peace with God. And because of that, we can say with the words of the psalmist that Jesus is our hope, he is our fortress, and he is our salvation. So when life gets difficult and uncertain, we will run to Jesus, and we will say with David, "Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. We will not be greatly shaken." Where do you run in times of discomfort and despair and difficulty? My prayer and my hope is that you would run to Jesus, because he is our hope.